What's up, YouTube? This is Team Revelation. Josh here, coming at you with another deck profile. This is my all-time favorite deck that I've been playing for a while now, ever since pretty much I first got into the game. So yeah, it's Blackwings, and this is it. We got 3 Shura. That's just obvious. If you have Blackwings and you don't run 3 Shura, then you probably shouldn't be playing Blackwings. 3 Bora the Explorer, because it's Bora. Special summons, as long as you have another Blackwing on the field and he has piercing. Hopefully you know what Shura does. If you don't, it's just you attack and then you can special a Blackwing with 1500 or less from your deck during the battle phase, which is pretty sweet. 3 the Hand Trap Kalute. That's also like kind of a must. Kalute's so good in this deck. It's like probably like the best card in the deck, pretty much. I mean, you kind of need the other cards in the deck, otherwise it doesn't really work very well. But battle phase, your turn, your opponent's turn, doesn't matter. You have this guy in your hand, and you just drop him, and then whatever monster is attacking or being attacked gets 1400. So he's really good, and it's great for Dad if you're trying to get, up to having 3 in the grave. He's a good, easy way to get him in the grave so that you have 3 darks in the grave for Dad. So, awesome card. 1 Zephyros. The reason why you only run 1 Zephyros is because part of his effect is that you can only use his effect once per duel, so running 2 would just be not smart. He's good because he's just, your typical 16 whatever poke, overlay, or using the synchro, doesn't matter. But what's good about him is by returning a face-up card that you can control, usually I use Whirlwind. I just return that to my hand, and then I can special him from the grave, and I also have to pay 400 life points, but it's a special summon from the grave. And then usually I can just, throw Whirlwind right back down, or say if I have I like this even better usually, is if I have a chain, say I have a chain that's no longer in use for whatever reason, I can return that chain to my hand, summon him, and then that chain's useful again because I can set it. So he's always nice. And then I have 2 Sirocco. He's basically kind of like a Cyber Dragon for Blackwings. If your opponent controls a monster and you don't, you can normal him. It's not special. But he is nice because you can normal him, and he's a 2000, plus then you can summon like your Gale, your Bora, whatever, because they're special if you have another Blackwing. And he also helps with your synchro numbers, being able to get up to an 8 and whatnot with Gale. Speaking of, we have 2 Blizzard first, which Blizzard, I used to run Blizzard at 3, but the thing about Blizzard is you really don't want to draw Blizzard turn 1. Just because you want to draw Blizzard when you have a Blackwing in grave, because what Blizzard does, you summon him and you can bring a level 4 or lower. You can special summon a level 4 or lower Blackwing monster from your graveyard to your side of the field. It has to be in defense position, but that's whatever. The whole point is you summon him, special the other level 4 or lower, whatever it is, say it's Bora, special him in defense, and then you sync for 6. So that's the whole entire point of that. That card right there. So the reason why I only run 2 is because 3 can be a little bit cloggy. You don't want to draw that turn 1. And then one of my favorite cards of all time, and my favorite rarity of all time, Gold Rare. I love Gold Rares. Gale the Whirlwind. This card is a very, very good tuner. Like probably one of the best tuners out there. He's easy to get to your hand with Whirlwind, or easy to summon on the field with Shura's effect. And then usually you go right into Armor Master, typically. His other really, really good effect is, well, you can special summon him. If you have him in your hand and you have another Blackwing, you can special him. Also, he has the effect that you can cut in half the attack of one of your opponent's monsters, which obviously is useful. So he's an excellent tuner to have. And then I have just 1 Vayu. Any more than that, and I feel like it's just clumpy and just not a good, I don't know. I've seen Vayu engine Blackwings where they run 3 Vayu, and the whole entire point is to like spam that effect where you can either bring him out with Sure and his effect is negated and you can go right into level 5, and then after that you can go into another synchro that's a level 5 or whatever, depending on what you have in your grave, by banishing those, which that's cool and all, but I just don't really care for that engine. It's kind of inconsistent, so I like the 1 Vayu to use it once, and then 1 Dad because it's Dad. And then these are some interesting texts here. I have one T-King, just because for a while I used to really like Thunder King, and then I took him out of all my decks, and now I'm kind of trying one, and I like it. It's working well. It shuts down the search. It's nice if you draw into this sort of early in the game, so you can just kind of play him and just sit on him for a while and just sort of see what your opponent's going to do and figure out like what they're playing and, you know, what their deck's running off of. You just kind of sit on him and, you know, wait for a little bit to push. And then Grand Mole, that's kind of like, you know, it's Grand Mole. It's great. Compulse is down to 1 now. And just, I love Grand Mole. The only bummer with him is, like, say you summon him and they chain or something like that. That's kind of a bummer. Whatever, they mirror force, it happens. But other than that, he's really good. You know, Dragosack, Big Eye, any XYZ, any synchro that you're having trouble getting over, pretty much summon him, pops it to hand, and that's pretty much it for the most part. Obvious, you got your 3 whirlwind. Just because it's whirlwind, that's how you get the deck running and get it flowing really fast. You get the Blackwings to your hand. That's kind of essential, really. Some people did say to only run it at 2, but I don't like it at 2 because I just feel like I don't draw into it enough. 3 duality, because it's duality. One thing that this deck does have a problem with is it tends to be a little bit slower and you can burn through your hand really fast. So you need to be able to get into your big play cards even more. And I was having a discussion with someone once about duality not letting you special, and how in a deck like this that sort of revolves around specialing, that kind of shuts it down a little bit, but it really doesn't. You just need to know how to not overextend and know when to sort of lay back a little bit and just let your cards do what they're going to do. So I really like duality because it helps me get into my big plays. Say if I overextend, or say if I run into a mirror or something like that and I need to get a card to my hand that's going to help me or protect me, then duality is great. And then we have 1 card for Black Feather, because again, this card can be a little bit, this deck, can be a little slow. So this right here is just a little extra draw power. The only downside is you have to remove from play a Blackwing monster. It is a Blackwing monster that's in your hand, which it's easy to get them to your hand with Whirlwind and such. So the only downside is you have to remove it, not drop it to grave. You actually have to remove it from play. But then you draw 2, so it's good. So that's always good because it does need consistency. And again, for draw power, I have Allure of Darkness. You guys know what that does. And then we get 1 Dark Hole, just because I still think Dark Hole is a good card. We lost Heavy, we lost Reborn, but I still think Dark Hole is always good. 1 Book of Moon. I went back and forth quite a bit between this and Lance, and I decided to stick with Book of Moon. Just because it was more consistent. Like, Lance ended up being dead. I found myself more often using Lance just to run things over, which that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I rather the effective Book of Moon, honestly, with a lot of the cards that are out there right now. Now we in the traps. We have 3 Icarus, which is in Blackwings. Some people like it at 2 just because you're blowing up your Blackwings, and I understand you don't necessarily want to blow them up too much, but this is great for like Vayu or say really anything. It's great. The only downside to Icarus, besides the fact that you have to tribute a Blackwing, is that, well, Wing Beast monster, but besides the fact that you're getting rid of one of your Blackwings, the downside is that the target is simultaneous. You have to send 2 cards at the same time, so you blow up one of yours, and then you have 2 of your opponent's cards that go, and it's simultaneous. So something like Dragosack, if it still has a token left on it, you can't pick that token and Dragosack. Dragosack's still protected because of the token, because of the simultaneous deal. So that's the only thing with that. It's still a really good card, though. 2 Mirror, because it's Mirror Force, and I like it at 2 because I like the protection, and I don't really fear Starlight. It's not a big deal for me. I have 2 Chain because I really like the card Fiendish Chain. I don't run it at 3 just because I feel like that's a little bit much, especially if they end up upside down back here, not in use. It is nice because I have like Zephyros or whatever. I could pop one of these back to my hand and use it again, which is cool. But 3, I just feel like if I had 3 of my spaces taken up, then that kind of really bums it down. So I like just the 2 of them better. 1 Torrential. Torrential's Torrential, and it's kind of, a lot of people run it, and I like it, but the reason why I only have one is just because I feel it's better at one without. I don't want to blow up too many of my Blackwings, because I kind of need them, so I try to avoid blowing them up if I don't have to. One bottomless because you're only allowed to have one. Otherwise, I'd probably have more. One compulse because you're only allowed to have one. Or else I'd have more because compulse is very good, especially nowadays. And then, of course, the one warning that you're allowed. So that's it for the main. It's fairly straightforward. And now we get into the side, which is, actually I'll do the extra first. So for the extra, I have one cowboy, because he's cowboy. I like him a lot. He's great for the burn or to run stuff over, you know. Abyss Dweller, that's pretty much just for mermails. Chain, he's chain. Then we have Maze Stroke. I really like Maze Stroke a lot because he's nice if early in the game you're not really sure what you're playing against, or you know they have a mirror down or something like that. He's nice. He's also a Book of Moon. You guys know that probably. So I like keeping him in there. One Diamond Dire because it's Diamond Dire, and especially in a deck like this that runs Winged Beasts, you don't actually have to blow him up in order to get his effect off. You can blow up one of your Blackwings in order to get his effect off, so it's nice. So it's like a scrap, but he's easier to pull out. One Pappy, because it's Pappy. One Master Key Beetle. This card, I think, is a really good card. I feel like it's going to see a lot more play coming up. There's the whole lock with Safe Zone. I don't know if you know what that is, but, you know, Master Key Beetle, Safe Zone, target Safe Zone. You basically can't get rid of him. It's pretty sweet. But I don't actually run the Safe Zone because I don't really need that lock. But one Catastor, because he's Catastor, still very relevant, very good against a lot of decks. This card, Magical Android, I've had this in this deck forever, and since I was not planning on changing this, but since the new release of Judgment of Light, there's a card in there. I can't remember the name of it actually. Armidius, I think, is something like that, and he's also a level 5, and he's 21, I think. Something like that. But basically his effect is that your opponent can't activate effects until the end of the damage step if you're in the battle phase, which is really good because things like Honest or in a Mirror Match Collude or things like Mirror Force or anything like that, Chain, none of that can be activated during battle phase. So, well, they could activate Chain before because on him. But anyways, none of those things can be activated, so I feel like that's better than Android. But up until then I've run Android, but I will be replacing that. Armored Wing, because it's Armored Wing. It's great for piercing. Psyhemoth, because he's really good if you're having trouble with something and you can't really run over it or you can't really destroy it. Well, you just summon him and banish both of them to just get rid of the problem. Armor Master, because it's Armor Master, he's still a beast if you pull him off. You know, he can't be destroyed by battle, no battle damage, the whole wedge counter deal. This guy is awesome. Won me a lot of games. Black Rose, because Black Rose, if you need another Dark Hole or you can't draw on your Dark Hole, but you can make that, then you can blow up the field. That's always good. Dark End, I really do like this guy a lot because he loses 500 attack and you send a monster my opponent controls to the graveyard. What I really like about it is that it says send. I'm not destroying the monster, I'm sending the monster to the graveyard, so that helps get over some effects. So, and I'm not targeting necessarily. So that's nice to have. And then last but not least, I have Void Ogre because, like I said, you burn through your hand pretty fast. And if you have no hand and you have Void Ogre out, that's really a really good thing because then I can negate on either player's turn once per turn a trap or a spell that my opponent activates. So now we get into the side deck, which this I've thought a lot about, and this is kind of what I'm going with. I have 2 DD Crow just because something I want to be able to just remove specific things from my opponent's grave. Running something like Macro really hurts me too in my deck because I have like my Blizzards and I have my Vayu and things like that. So I really don't want my graveyard to be removed from play. So I like DD Crow so I can just remove a couple of their things if I don't like what they have in their grave. 2 Fossil Dino because it's Fossil Dino. Stop special summons, blows up ones that are there. It's a good to against a lot of the meta junk that's going around right now. 2D Bunk. I really like this card a lot. I've actually never run it before this making of this deck, and now that I have it in this deck, I've sided it like a lot against things like mermails and things like that, and it's very, very good. It does a really good job. And I have 3 of these Imperial Iron Wall. So, like I said, I don't like my stuff being removed from play, so if I'm playing something that runs something like Dimensional Fissure or Macrocosmos, you know, whatever, that stops that. I don't like my stuff being removed from play, and that's kind of how you can really hurt this deck, to be honest, is running something like Macro. That right there is Light Imprisoning. Kind of obvious what that does. Just stops lights that's really in there just for Constellars, because this deck does struggle against Constellars, so you throw 3 of those in there to stop them. And then last but not least, we have the 3 MST, just in case I'm having issues with their back row. I don't main any, just because usually I'm fine, but if I find that I'm really bogged down by anything that they have, that I don't really have the ability to blow up, then I use the MSTs. The other thing that you have to remember is there are 3 Icarus in this deck, which you can do a lot of back row blowing up with the Icaruses. So that's usually why I don't main these, because I can usually take care of those with Icarus. But if I need the extra boost, then that's why the 3 of them are in there. So that's my Blackwing deck. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you think.